Can you hear it with your ears? Can you see it with your eyes? Can you feel it wiggling between your quivering thighs? That thing with James. Once every millennium something will come along. When you feel it you will know it, 'cause it's coming on strong. That thing with James. Sit back, relax, deep breaths, no stress. Let me come inside your mind. I promise you it won't take long, the change will happen soon. You will feel something so special going deep within you. That thing with James. That thing with James. That's me. Hi! Welcome to the very first episode of That Thing with James J. Asher II. That's me. This is fun. So you're either listening to this, or listening to it and watching it. Or, I guess, you could just be watching it and not listening to it. Or you could watch and not really be watching. Or hear it but not really be listening. Depends on your attention, whatever medium you're enjoying this podcast on. Be it audio or video. I'm probably gonna have videos before I have the audio versions, because I don't know how to set up an audio podcast yet. But I know how to upload a YouTube video. So, video podcast it is. I'm sure I'll figure out how to, just get the sound up. That's just boring shit. Let's talk about stuff. My name is James. I have a father and a mother and 2 siblings. Not counting my brother-in-law, my sister's husband. My brother, he's 11 years older than me, and he lives in Denver. My sister is 22 years older than me. She lives in Houston. My parents, they're a lot older than me. They live in Oklahoma. And me, well, I'm 31 years old, and I live in Austin, Texas. Let me take a drink of water real quick. I feel like I'm starting to get NPR mouth. What is NPR mouth? NPR mouth is when someone's got a dry mouth and they won't drink water. And so then you can hear all the mouth noises, like the lips and the tongue smacking while they talk. Today, a legion of monarch butterflies found their way to South America for the cold season. You are listening to PRI, Public Radio International. I don't like that sound. It makes me really mad. It makes me irate. Just drink some water, Like, I don't, especially, NPR's on the radio. And yet, it's you don't have any kind of, like, visual stimulus to kind of dull your hearing. It's all hearing because it's all radio, so it's all audio. And it's all high-quality audio, high-quality microphones, right up to the person's mouth. And the mouth has been drinking coffee with a lot of creamer in it all day. No water. and you can just see like the line of dry spittle gathering in the corner of their mouth. Oh God, it's not good. Stay hydrated. It's important. You're like 70% water or more. Anyway, where was I going with this? I have no idea. This is my first episode of my own podcast, and I don't really know what to talk about. Don't stop listening, please. Or watching. I'll take this somewhere. You just gotta go with me here. The whole idea behind this show is that there's no theme. Like, I don't have any segments that I can think of. I just want to hang out, connect with you, and we just have a good time. Life is filled up with a lot of needless difficulty. We create a lot of our own problems, and I think we would all be a lot better off if we learned how to just hang out, learned how to hang out better, just chill. I think a lot of the world, especially the United States, needs to learn how to chill, have chill time. When you're clocked out from work, you're clocked out from work. Don't take it home with you. Like, I studied theater in college, and one of the first lessons I ever heard before rehearsal is, when you show up to rehearsal, leave your baggage at the door. Or another one is, save the drama for the stage. So what does that stuff mean? It means don't let your personal shit infringe upon your work. Likewise, I say, do not let your work infringe upon your personal life, necessarily. I mean, it is all part of your life. You wake up. Like, you have these periods of consciousness and unconsciousness. Hold on. I have to move the mouse around on my computer here. I'm recording video on my phone, and I've got a little, like, Samson, like a 1.5 inch by 3 inch Samson microphone. Why the fuck am I even talking about this right now? This is a stupid subject, and I don't even care. I'm just getting nervous about made up shit. I just gotta cut that shit out. I've been like this my entire life. I'm a worrywart. My entire life I've been just... I'll obsess over things that are out of my control. And it's really difficult to relinquish control. Some days I'm better than I am other days. Today's not one of those days. I've had a pretty weird day today. Everything's just off. There's just some days where, everyone seems to be acting like a bunch of ding-dongs. Everyone wants to, I got stuck behind this truck that was, driving in the middle of the road. Granted, it was like a neighborhood street, kind of a narrow one. Cars lined up along the sides. And this big truck was just, in the middle and going kind of slow, and it clearly wasn't drunk, but I think the person might have been geriatric or something, because they were just all over it, and I could just feel the hesitance of that driver, just being behind them, seeing the way they behave. Another car is trying to come around, and they can't figure out how to get out of the middle of the road over to the right of the road, and just a bunch of people are acting like ding-dongs today, yours truly included. I ran into yet another bit of trouble with car stuff, doing some title work, and the person who signed my information, they wrote down the wrong zip code, and now I'm just dreading having to go to the goddamn DMV, or whatever they call it here in Texas, and just having to wait in lines forever. And then I'm thinking like, okay, I just got this thing. I got to get it registered and tagged within 30 days. Am I going to have to go back to Oklahoma where I got the car? Or am I going to have to do a million trips between the DMV and home? Like, and it's only in this short span of time, it's already been like a week when I've got 4 weeks. And I just really don't want to have to deal with it, because all car stuff for me just seems to be so goddamn complicated. From day one, I've never had an easy time with cars. Shit's always breaking, shit's always getting in wrecks, paperwork's always like, you know, some small thing like a single digit on my zip code causes the biggest clusterfuck. And I don't make it any better because I get all wrapped up and anxious about wanting to control the experience and control the outcome. I don't want to have to go back to Oklahoma. I don't want to have to go to the DMV. I don't want to have to deal with the fact that someone wrote down the wrong goddamn single number. But I do. I don't know. So there's control of given circumstances. And then there's want of control for given circumstances, and then there's want for control of the outcome. And these are things that one cannot control. And, you know, that's a Buddhism thing. That's karma. That's being stuck in this loop of desire, this loop of suffering. Because you're always suffering, because you always want something to be different in your life. And the thing is, like, there's so much of your life that you just cannot control at all. You control very little. Like the 80-20 rule. If you don't know what that is, look it up. It's a pretty interesting concept. Well, 80-20, it shows up a lot in economics and I guess in like amounts of effort. So let's say 80-20. Of all the things that you can control in your life, let's just say, I'm not a scientist here, I'm not a psychologist, I'm just working from my own experience here. Of the percentage of things that you can control in your life, 20% is in your control. You control 20%. But the remaining 80% is out of your control. There's so much out of your control. And the thing is, your stupid, chattering, infant, immature, needy brain wants to control that 80%. It wants to control everything because it wants to feel secure and safe and happy. And then you think you know what's best for you. You think you know the way to achieve security, safety, and happiness. Well, the thing is, you don't know. You think you know what's good for you, but really, you don't know. That's the thing. If you're just listening, anytime I go, it means I'm taking a drink of water. So yeah, control. You think you know, but you don't really know. So let's say, I think I know what's good for me. Oftentimes I don't know what's good for me. I know certain things are good for me, like drinking water and getting sleep and stuff like that. But as far as like trying to get extra things out of life, like get some type of quality out of an interaction with another person, like trying to make someone like you, that's you trying to control your experience, man. And you can't do that, man. You can't control everything. So I say, you control 20%, like, you can wipe your ass, man. Like, you can floss, and you should floss, but as far as, if you're going to get if you're going to win the lottery, you can't control that. I don't know why I went to that weird hippie thing. It just came through me. Sometimes these things happen. You get a notion and you just go with it. And oftentimes, just going with those notions leads you to an experience and a lesson that is good for you. So you don't know what's good for you. You think you know what's good for you, but you don't know what's good for you. Okay, here we go. I just thought of the perfect example of what I'm talking about. So, right now, it's 2019, the year 2019. If you would have told me that in 1999, I would have flipped the fuck out. You're showing me a video from the future. Well, yeah. And a lot of shit happens. So, the example of what I'm talking about with wanting to control outcomes. So I mentioned earlier that I studied theater in college. And I've done a few short plays since I finished college, but I've mostly done commercial work, just camera work, and that's what I'm very interested in too. But films, I've always been a big movie buff, but that's another subject for another time. So I went to college, I went to undergrad, I majored in theater, and I minored in communication studies, which is a really cool topic that I'm not going to get into right now. And then right after that, I went to grad school at Oklahoma State University. Undergrad was at Northeastern State University in Tahlequah, Oklahoma. Tahlequah is the capital of the Cherokee Nation. Cherokee people! You know that song? No? You gotta check it out. It's awesome. Anyway, beautiful town, Tahlequah. It is like, I always equated it to Rivendell from Lord of the Rings. Just this beautiful, lush, verdant landscape at the very beginning of the Ozarks. And it's just very pretty there, and it's like really hippie. It's a lot of colorful characters there, and a lot of colorful things happen. I really like that place. I don't miss living there. It's pretty fucking boring. Really, like, coming down to it, it's nice to remember that place, but when I get real about it, it's fucking boring there because there's nothing to do. It's just sort of like, it's really pretty, great hiking and stuff, but as far as the town, it sucks, and the bars suck, and there's not a lot to do because it's just a small college town in the middle of nowhere. It's a small state regional school. And also the school itself, the campus used to look like Hogwarts. When I went there, it was just all these old buildings that were made in the 1800s, possibly 1830s maybe. Don't quote me on that, but it was in the 1800s. It started out as a women's seminary, and the main building on campus is called Seminary Hall. And I wonder if the word seminary has anything to do with semen. Seminal, seminary, sperm nuns. So, I went to undergrad there, and then I went on a little trip before grad school. I visited my brother in Denver for a little bit. And had a time, I applied for a conservatory there. I auditioned for the Denver Theater Conservatory. And the guys who were running that, these two fabulous men with scarves. I think I've got a scarf right here. Boy, if you are only listening to this, you are missing out. These dudes had these fabulous scarves. They were huge, gigantic scarves wrapped around their necks, draping down their backs, finding their way up their asshole cracks, and there it stuck with the stick up their ass. And the attitude that I tell you, lass, they were stuffy men. Yes, I tell you true, stuffy men, and their attitude was poo. These guys sucked. They were so full of themselves. It was the quintessence. They were a caricature of the snooty thespians. Yes. Don't touch me. Granted, my audition sucked. Instead of doing the usual things I auditioned with some piece of shit play. I don't remember the name of it. It was about some guy with a baseball bat, or talking about a baseball bat that he lost, and it's supposed to be in the future, and then there's cops, and it's theater, so of course he's just discovering he's gay, and what the fuck ever. It was a shitty monologue that I chose from a play that I hadn't read all the way through, and I'd never really read it before, but for some reason I felt like what I had wasn't gonna count. What I had was tomorrow creeps in this petty pace from day to day to the last syllable of recorded time, and all of our yesterdays have lighted fools the way to dusty death. Out, brief candle. Life is but a walking shadow, a poor player who struts and frets his hour upon the stage and then is heard no more. It is a tale told by an idiot full of sound and fury signifying nothing. I could have done that. Not necessarily the way I just did it, but I could have done that. But instead I went with something I was unfamiliar with and hadn't prepared. And I blew a bag of dicks, proverbially. Those guys were so, and their scarves, just wool, stuffing around their necks. You know those African tribes where they put the rings on the necks and it stretches the neck out? These guys were doing that with these wool scarves, except their necks weren't stretching out. They were just getting fatter. And they said, "What school did you go to?" And I said, "Northeastern State University, Tahlequah, Oklahoma." And these two guys, extra fabulous, both looked at each other and went, "Is that even a school?" Yeah. What a fucking humiliating experience that was. I was fine with the rejection. I can deal with rejection. I started learning, I knew how to deal with rejection before I ever started acting. And I didn't start acting, like, officially, outside of just doing impressions of Jim Carrey and, playing out scenes from other stand-up comedians or movies I liked, or making up stories and stuff. I'd done that my entire life. I've been a performer my entire life. But I didn't start studying theater until college because the town I grew up in Oklahoma was very small and very poor. And what little funding the school has goes directly towards football. Maybe some basketball. And pretty much the only art that exists there is band, marching band, and then there's concert band, which only exists because marching band exists and because the football season isn't year-round. I was in both. I played trumpet. I started playing when I was somewhere between 10 and 12 years old. And played trumpet in the band. I ended up getting sick of band because it was just eating up. I didn't have a life, It's good to stay busy. It's good to not have. It's good to not have too much free time, but at the same time, it's not good to have no free time. And I felt like I had no free time. So by junior year, I said, fuck this. I'm not going to be in band senior year. So I had to get an elective to replace it. So I went into choir senior year. And I also put down the trumpet when I turned 17. Like at the end of my junior year, I put down the trumpet and I picked up the guitar. The guitar. See, I've been playing guitar now for, let's see, 14 years. Check my math. I started when I was 17. I'm 31 years old right now, and I'm bad at math. Off the top of my head. I'm really good at math if I have a calculator. So, anyway. I picked up the guitar and I started playing. But I didn't start acting yet because there was no theater program at my high school. And when it came time to go to college, I just figured that theater would be the thing for me. I don't know, just my heart led me that way. It all started when I read The Vampire Chronicles by Anne Rice. First 3 books, fantastic. I wish they would do the second 2 books of the trilogy justice. Vampire Lestat and Queen of the Damned. It's the same story split up in 2 books. In case you haven't read it, fan-fucking-tastic. And that would make a really good series, honestly. I just think that, Interview with the Vampire was a pretty entertaining movie for what it was. Didn't do the book justice at all, but the movie itself is pretty entertaining. And then the movie Queen of the Damned was pretty entertaining. I mean, it's campy, but there's a lot of really like sexy goth vampire sex stuff in it, and I'm into that sort of thing. And a killer soundtrack, dude. The Queen of the Damned soundtrack is awesome, but the movie did a poor job than Interview with the Vampire of doing the books justice. I'd like to see a series or a movie that does the books justice because I think they're really damn good. Well, anyway, I was reading these when I was in high school, the Vampire Chronicles books, and the way Lestat described being in the theater, it turned me on. Not necessarily in a sexual manner, but necessarily in a I want to do that kind of manner. I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life until I read a fictional character account, until I read a fictional account of being in a traveling theater troupe in France in the 1700s in a fiction novel. Yes, that's what I based my college career on. It was Vampire Lestat, before he is made into a vampire, describing what it was like to travel from town to town, city to city, and being in the theater, and just, being drunk and loose around open-minded people, and getting to perform, just getting to dress up and play. I'm like, hell yeah, that's what I want to do with my life? You think I want to fucking work? Are you kidding me? Get out of here! The work I want is play. That's what I like to do. That's what's fun to me. And it's not like play does not have its own inherent work. If you want to be really good at it, and if you want to be really successful at it, you gotta work. And it can be just as boring as any other job. Work is work, but depending on what you're working for, what you're working toward, if anything at all, that's what counts. That's what separates vocation from a job, from a gig. if the work you're putting in, be it having to get a side job while you're trying to become a full-time actor, while you're trying to get cast in something and you're still not getting cast, you're still working, if you're still doing something artistic, if you're still finding some information about yourself, self-discovery, if you're still observing, if you're still taking classes, if you're still reading books, if you're still devouring and analyzing plays and films and anything you come across. These can all be aspects of work for an actor, but also just having a side job, having a day job, flipping burgers, doing taxes, driving Uber, Lyft, taxis, whatever you do for your day job. If it's to supplement your acting career, then you're still succeeding on some part, as long as you're still actively trying to put yourself out there in the, art world in some way. Anyway, yeah. Went to college, studied theater, because I just guessed. I just had a feeling that I would like it. Lo and behold, I did like it. I had a feeling that I would like the people I would meet there, because I wanted friends. Because friends have been a touch and go kind of thing for me. What I mean by touch and go is that I haven't always had friends around. I've spent a lot of time alone in my life. I told you I have siblings, and I do. My sister has a different mom, had a different mom than I. Her mom passed recently. May she rest in peace, sweet lady. From my dad's previous marriage, and then my brother has a different dad from my mom's previous marriage, and then my parents met and had me. So again, my sister's 22 years older than me. My brother is 11 years older than me, and so I'm definitely the baby. And since my brother was out by the time I was like 6, he was out of the house. Woo! I've been kind of like an only child since then. I mean, that's 11 years is pretty old, but 22 years, that's old. That's old. My parents are old. So I was definitely the baby, and definitely kind of grew up like an only child. I didn't have a sibling around to, roughhouse with anymore. My brother did when we were both very young, but I mean that stopped soon because he got on with his own life, and I just didn't really have anyone to hang out with. And I moved around some growing up. I was born in Colorado, in a suburb of Denver called. I was born in Wheat Ridge Hospital. Grew up in Lakewood, which, if I remember correctly, is like northeast suburb of Denver, maybe. And then we lived there for 6 years, and my mom, dad, and I moved to Bernardsville, New Jersey. A very pretty town in central New Jersey. Very pretty state. A lot of people who've only passed through or haven't even been to New Jersey, oftentimes they get a skewed idea of what the state is like. They think it's all like Newark or Jersey City, and that's not the case. That's a very small percentage. The state is mostly woods. It's called the Garden State for a reason, because it's really, really pretty there. Beautiful, lush, verdant forests, a rich history, and haunted houses. There was a lot of good ghost stories in Bernardsville. And they even say that the library there is haunted. I forget the name of the ghost, but the way I remember the story was that her husband, during the Revolutionary War, got hanged for some reason or another, and then he was, and then she took her own life and haunts the library, because the library used to be this house just like in the woods, kind of just like a little small like hamlet in the woods. And it's a historical site, that the Bernardsville Public Library. If I remember correctly, Washington and his men stopped there for a bit during one of the winters during the Revolution. And the people who lived there took care of them. And it was good. So, yeah. Lived in New Jersey. And we lived there for 4 years. And then we moved to a small town in Oklahoma. Very small town. 2,000 people population within the city limits. There's 2 stoplights. Yeah, downtown has 2 whole stoplights. Yeah, man. It's pretty cool. Pretty high tech. People did not like me there when I first moved there. From New Jersey, I still had a accent. I had a slight New Jersey accent moving there. Coffee, bull, that kind of stuff. And, I was Catholic. I was raised Catholic. I say I was raised Catholic. I haven't been to church in forever, and I certainly haven't done confession in forever. But honestly, Catholicism is like alcoholism. Once you're one, you're always one, even if you're not actively doing it. Anyway, yeah, I went to the Catholic Church. I was short. I was thin, pale, and very imaginative. I was a very imaginative and expressive kid, and that did not go over well. And the small town I grew up in Oklahoma, they would say things like, "You ain't from around here. Get away from us. You ain't from around here. You're crazy. I don't get you. I don't get you. I don't get you. You're crazy. I don't like you. You're not from here. You're not welcome here. Why don't you go back where you're from? Because we don't need your kind here." That kind of shit. From fucking 5th graders. I moved there the summer before starting 5th grade. And these kids are all like 6 feet tall, overweight, high blood pressure, male pattern baldness, which I'm starting to kind of get some more thinness going on as the years go by, and I'm very self-conscious of it. It's something I'm trying to work through. But anyway, back to the story. Yeah, these kids, corn-fed, 200 pounds, 6+ foot tall, and they got a second mortgage on their home. Wife just left them. They got to pay alimony, yada, yada, yada. They're all really good at sports. They don't like reading that much, but I liked reading, and I wasn't good at sports. I liked reading and drawing and making up stories and just being imaginative. And there was a few kids that were imaginative, but, there was one in particular who was a weird one. He was the stinky kid. I wasn't the stinky kid. I've always been a pretty cleanly person. But there was a stinky kid. He'd make shit up, but the thing is, he was sort of like a compulsive liar. It's not like he was saying like, let's what about this? He wasn't saying what about this. He's saying this. He said that he made like a nuclear powered engine for a Hot Wheels car. He nuked a Hot Wheels car in the microwave, and that gave it a nuclear power engine, and it shot off across his yard and left a burnt line in the grass in the yard. And I'm just like, dude, I know your yard doesn't have grass. You're the stinky kid. Don't lie to us. Anyway, yeah. It was tough times in Oklahoma. Even through college, dude, it was tough fucking times. A lot of assholes. A lot of really cool people in Oklahoma, too. Surprisingly, a lot of surprisingly progressive people there. Like, you really wouldn't expect it. And there really is a lot of fucking hateful people there, too. And there's definitely a lot of just dysfunctionally repressive individuals in that state as well, due to religion, which I think is just totally unethical. And I feel sorry for those people who can't have sex. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. And, you know, just repression, you know, it turns into a even bigger issue. And, like, I'm not saying that's where, like, sexual abuse and stuff comes from, but a lot of it can come from just people acting on suppressed urges, and these urges just bubbling to the surface and coming out in a really nasty, unhealthy, hurtful way, when it easily could have been avoided if that person were just not, like, brainwashed into thinking that their natural urges, that their natural thoughts are sinful, you know, wanting to have premarital coitus. It's not that bad of a thing, as long as, you know, everyone's consenting and being responsible and having a good time. And I just want everyone to have a good time. But there's a lot of people in Oklahoma and a lot of people elsewhere who can't bring themselves to have a good time because it's sinful. And they might go to hell. They might get punished. They might get punished after they die. They don't know for sure, but they've got faith. They don't have any evidence, but they got faith. They might get punished for having a good time that doesn't hurt anybody. Anyway, yeah, relationships were tough in Oklahoma, man. Friendships, tough. A lot of transition. I never had, like, a solid group of best friends, and it makes me kind of jealous of people who do have best friends. It makes me a little jealous. I don't really have that one friend that's always there, that I can always talk to. And it's not like I haven't tried. And it's not like I don't have friends. I do have friends, and I'm really happy. But I don't have, like, that one best friend that I've known since I was a kid. Never had that. So, anyway, spent a lot of time alone, like I said. Like, virtually an only child due to my age, in comparison to my siblings. And, yeah, friends, not a whole lot of friends. Rough relationships, man. A lot of alone time. But it gets lonely. It can get lonely. On a Saturday night, you may be wondering where the fuck everybody is, and why aren't they hanging out with me? I want to go out. Like, I don't really drink that much anymore, but I want to tonight. I want to go out to this new bar, this new dive up the street, and I want this person and this person and this person to come with me so we can just have a good time. The more the merrier. But my friends are always working when I'm not working. And when I am working, they're always not working. Because most of my friends are in the service industry and or are just kind of fucking flaky. So, a lot of alone time, a lot of time to figure out how to entertain myself. And that's a big part of why I'm making this podcast, is because I want to entertain myself. I get bored. I just want to have fun. I just want to have a good time. And so I'm doing this now. And I'm doing this to maybe engage with some other people and make some new friends. That would be cool. I just want to connect with you. You know? Maybe we're strangers. Maybe we're not strangers. Maybe I asked you to watch this thing or listen to it. If I did, and if you are, thank you very much. I really appreciate it. Like, for real. Thanks for coming through. That's awesome. What? You want a hand job or something? I said thank you. Get off my fucking back, okay? I just wanted to ask, what do you want me to pay you now? You want me to have to pay you again? Fine. Don't. I mean, please do watch, but just don't. Really? You're gonna give me that finger? Really? Okay, yeah, that's good fun. Where was I going with this? Keeping myself entertained. Yeah, I'm doing this to keep myself entertained. That's why I do anything, to keep myself entertained. I get bored just like sitting around doing nothing. I get bored just watching TV. And I just like making things. I have a lot of stories in my head. Sounds will come to me, dialogue, stories, images, whatever. I just like to write this stuff and get it out of my head because I enjoy it. I enjoy the arts, and I enjoy it so much that I want to do it. You know, I see something, I'm like, you know what? I bet this is fun to do. And that's how podcasting started for me. About a little over a year ago, in November of 2017, I started listening to podcasts for the first time. The first one I heard was What the Fuck with Mark Maron. And then I quickly discovered, soon thereafter, Joe Rogan Experience. And then I discovered more stuff. I at the beginning of like early 2018, or maybe in the middle of 2018, yeah, in the summer, I discovered Tiger Belly. Oh, dude, that's my favorite. I love me some Tiger Belly. What a silly show. It just feels so good. And it's good and just silly stuff. But there's also love there. Anyway, enough sucking their dick. Now back to sucking my own dick. I wanted to make my own podcast because I saw these other people making their podcasts and I thought, ooh, that looks like fun. I could do that. And so I got some, moderate gear here. And I'm making my own podcast. And it took me a while. Like, I meant to start this like months ago, but then I kind of got sidetracked with this other thing I'm working on. I'm finishing up writing a book, it's just, it's going to be about like, 500 pages, just like the best novel in the world. It's called Seeking Now. It's not, it's a novel, it's a fiction based on, semi, fictionalized kind of memoir kind of stuff, just kind of, just keeping myself entertained, masturbating and, sharing it with you guys. And now I'm doing this podcast thing. Finally, I meant to do it months ago. I got sidetracked by the book, and now I'm doing this here. And it took me about a month to come up with a title for this because I didn't know what to call it. And then there was like 2 or 3 other names that I thought of for this podcast, but then I'd do a search for it online and find out that the title was already taken. And so then I finally settled on that thing because I thought it would be funny if you were to watch or hear this show and talk about it to your friends or coworkers or people. When you talk about a show or something with another person, you usually mention that show's name. So I thought that thing with James J. Asher II, would be funny because that would force someone to say, hey, have you heard that thing with James J. Asher II? And they're like, nah, who's that? Oh, it's this dude. He's got this show, this thing. What thing? It's his show. What's the show called? Oh, it's that thing with James J. Asher II. Yeah, but what's it called? That thing. What thing? That thing. Yeah, I know the thing you're talking about. I want to know what the thing's called. It's called that thing. Who's on first? So yeah, I settled on this. And do I really have to use my full name? Yeah. For branding purposes, I wanted to just do that thing with James Asher. But the thing is, there's another James Asher, and it pisses me off that he has my name, quite frankly. I'm upset that I'm not the only one with my name. Me and my dead grandpa. I can't believe there's another James Asher. He's an Englishman, an older gentleman who makes world music. And he's on the internet. He's got his brand out there. So then I was like, okay, how much is James J. Asher? Search that. That name's already out there on the internet too. It's some professor. I think maybe he studies linguistics, semantics, pasta fazool, baked ziti, mama. Sorry, I've been watching The Sopranos, man. I just started last night. I love it. Yeah. Hold on, I gotta piss like a motherfucker. I'll be right back. And we're back. Oh man, I've been holding that pee in for like a minute. I had to go. I feel a lot better now. I've been so dry lately. My lips have been cracking. I've got these fucking zits and stuff. I've just been like hormonal lately. I've been moody. And it just, things are just, why can't shit just be simple, yo? Why can't it just be simple? Anyway, life, it's complicated. Can't control it. Need to accept it. Need to get better at accepting it. Some days I am good at accepting it. Today's not one of those days. Nah. Rough time. Thinking about having to deal with this title shit, dude. Maybe that'll be the title of this episode. The title. Have you seen the title? That thing? The title? Oh, what, that title? The title? Yeah. Did you hear the title? No, what is it? Oh, it's that thing. What thing? It's the first episode of that thing. What thing? The title. The title. It's the first episode of that thing. What? What thing? We have our laughs. Yeah, I've been watching Sopranos. Mamma mia, that's a spicy meatball. I wonder if some people might mistake me for Italian. I don't know. People mistake me for different things sometimes. One time, when I was in high school, especially like end of junior year, on into senior year, and then on into college, I was like so goth. I wore eyeliner, painted my nails black, I had hair. It was a lot thicker back then, like down past my shoulders, and man, I had really pretty hair. You know, I'm like self-conscious about my hair, but I've got a lot of people tell me it's not as bad as I make it out in my head. A lot of people think I've got cool hair, and I think I've got cool hair too. I'm just dealing with the fact that some of my hair's getting tired of hanging on. And that's just life. That's part of aging. And I got to deal with it because it's not something I can control. And I don't know, I certainly don't have the money for plugs, and I don't know if I want plugs, honestly. I don't know if I want to mess with that. I don't know if I want to mess with the finasteride, the pill that you take and it stops it from your hair falling out or receding or anything. That started out as a pill for prostate activity, but then they discovered it had reactions on the hair, so they rebranded it as something for your hair, which is fucking crazy. You hear about these drugs, these pharmaceuticals that they put out there for this one reason, and then after it's on the market, and maybe it's been on the market for quite a while, they find out, oh no, and it also has this other application. So they rebrand a drug as another thing, like Chantix, that drug Chantix. I think it's some type of like an antidepressant or something to do with like depression, anxiety, something like that. But they also found that it makes a person not want to smoke cigarettes for some reason. I don't know if it makes them sick or if it just kills the craving or something. But they found out that it affected people in a way where they not all, but it seems to deter some people from smoking cigarettes, even though it started out as possibly an antidepressant. That's fucking whack to me. It's like, I'm going to take this thing to curb my cravings for cigarettes, and it's also going to fuck with my serotonin levels on some level. That's weird to me. And I hate pharmaceutical commercials. I think they're unethical. I think they should be illegal. I've heard that in Europe there's no commercials for pharmaceuticals because it is illegal. There's no reason a fucking, a patient needs to hear about this shit and get it in their heads. And the thing about commercials is that like 99% of them are inherently manipulative. This is stuff that I learned in my communication studies classes. One of my favorite classes was called, aptly, it was called Persuasion, Coercion, Advertisement, and Propaganda. That was the title of this one class, where we discussed, like, at what point does persuasion cross over into coercion? At what point does media become propaganda? It was a very illuminating class. I liked it. But yeah, fucking pharmaceutical commercials, they're manipulative because they, it shows the viewer who isn't really privy to these theories of like how media works and how persuasion and that kind of stuff works. I forget the term, but it's like an emotional play, or like that's a really unethical tactic of coercion, is playing toward emotions instead of playing toward facts. And a lot of politicians do that. They play on your emotions and they don't say shit about policy. They just play on your emotions so then you'll vote for them instead of informing you and helping you understand a situation, understand how something works, instead of helping you become a independent, free thinker, instead of thinking for yourself and finding out facts on your own and coming to your own conclusions instead of using someone else's conclusion, instead of relying solely on someone else's word, just like doing independent investigation. I think that's important and everyone should do that. And I think that's a big, important thing that's missing from elementary and beyond education. I think that should be a mandatory lesson in schools, in elementary, junior high, high schools, is how to deal with communication, learn communication studies. Because we all communicate with each other. And now with the internet, with this massive interconnectivity, the likes of which humanity has never seen before, there's a lot more communication going on than ever before. And I think that necessitates an understanding, the need to understand how communication works. And a lot of people don't know how communication works. interpersonal communication, so on and so forth. Anyway, yeah, doing this podcast, wanted to do it, looked like fun, and I'm having fun so far. I hope you're having fun. And the whole idea behind this podcast is that I just want it to be stream of consciousness. I just want to do whatever. If I want to play guitar, I want to play guitar. I want to have guests in. I'm hoping to have a good friend of mine in as a guest for my next episode. So hopefully that works out. If not, it'll just be me talking to you again. Just us, hanging out, having a good time. I really do hope you're enjoying this so far. I've just sort of been rambling, haven't I? Maybe I should tell you a little bit more. I'm 31 years old. I live in Austin, Texas. I'm an actor. Clearly, I went to school for it, and I wanted to do it so bad that I pursued it for real. I was very fortunate to sign on with an agent as soon as I got here, because a friend of mine from grad school. Dude, grad school was so tough for me. I had a rough time. And I'll tell you about that another time. I don't want to get into that story. It's another long, divergent path I don't want to take. I've taken enough in this episode. So anyway, I had a friend who I was in grad school with, and hopefully she'll be a guest on here too. Her name's Liz. Very talented artist. And well, she came here and she signed up with an agency like as soon as she got here to Austin, after we both graduated grad school at Oklahoma State in Stillwater, Oklahoma. And yeah, she moved here before I did by about maybe 6 months or so, got on with an agent. And then I finally settled on moving here, and she put in a word for me, and it was a good enough word for me to get in. And also I had the piece of paper. I had a master's degree. I don't know if you can see this picture up here. Let me grab this. That's me getting my master's. Yeah. 24 years old right there. Still looking good? Honestly, I think I look a little better these days. I don't drink as much. So, again, if you're only listening, sorry, you just missed out on a picture of me getting my master's degree. Well, after that, I kind of crashed around a little bit. I've been in school for 18 years straight. I wanted a fucking break before I committed my life to working nonstop with no winter breaks or anything. So I traveled around a bit and I was torn. I definitely wanted to act full time and write and do music. I just wanted to make money as an artist. I wanted to self-generate enough work that generated enough revenue for me to make a comfortable living. I don't need fancy things. I'm a frugal person. But I really would love money to just travel around or to fund new projects and stuff like this. Anyway, I was torn between Austin and Chicago because I had friends from college moving to both cities, or friends who already lived there. I did briefly think about moving to New York or LA, but I didn't think I would fare too well in those cities. I was a little intimidated by the idea of living in cities that large, because I hadn't lived in a city as an adult yet, and also those markets are so oversaturated with people just like me, and it just seemed like bad odds to me. If I were to bet, the coasts seemed like bad odds to me. So I figured I would like to eventually end up in places where I can get a lot more work and find a lot of like-minded people and just have things to do, just somewhere fun to live. So I was like, all right, I need credit before I move to these cities, because right now I've got a resume, I've got an acting resume, but it's all college productions, plays. I haven't been in any film camera stuff, so I'm going to move to either Austin or Chicago. And I went to Chicago. It was probably my second or third time there in my life. And dude, I love Chicago so much. It is such a pretty city, and it's just so fucking cool. It is like the quintessential city. I love it there. And I love my friends there. But I ended up settling on Austin instead of there because, from my understanding, Austin has more film opportunities than Chicago, and that's what I'm interested in, is film. And I'm also interested in not freezing my balls off. See, I already figured I was going to be, a poor, starving, struggling artist. But did I want to be freezing on top of that? No. I'd rather be warm. I have like no body fat, so I get cold. So I fare a lot better in warmer climes, especially dry. I like the desert. Yeah. I also like the beach. Like to be right near the beach, man. Yeah. So, yeah, I moved to Austin in 2012. Started acting, signed on with an agent, got on with a different agent, then got on with another agent. I'm with an agent right now. I've been with the same guy for, I think, 2 years now, maybe? Almost 2 years. And this is my favorite one so far. I really like this dude. I like the agency. They've been good to me so far. And they talk. And they actually pay me, which is nice. I like getting money that I worked for. Well, yeah. What to talk about now? How long have I been talking to myself? Okay. Holy shit. It's been like an hour and a half. Well, all I know is that's all, folks. So tune in next week for another episode. And before I go, let me tell you how to find me on social media. I've got a Facebook page. I don't really fuck with that, so don't worry about that. I've got a Twitter. I do fucks with that. And an Instagram. I do fucks with that as well. So you can find me on these places, all with the same name, at James J. Asher. That's at JamesJasher, just all one word. And you can also find my website with a little blog that I haven't fucked with in months at JamesJasher.com, if I remember correctly. I'm pretty sure it's JamesJasher.com. If you go to a website like that and it's got my face on the front page, you found the right website. So, anyway, I'll see you another time. Maybe I'll be in a better mood. Someday I'll have different stuff to talk about. Well, maybe there'll be less ums. Anyway, thanks for watching. Stay classy.